This episode of the Beer Bound Podcast is brought to you by Rolling Hops Beer Tours.
Hey everybody, Garrett here from Rolling Hops, as always joined with my partner,
Andy.
We're here to tell you guys about our virtual craft beer tour offering. With what's going on in the world, unfortunately, we haven't been able to run our historical craft walking beer tour, so we've pivoted to taking the virtual experience of craft beer directly to you guys. Wonderful for team building events, corporate events, even just a night out or in, for that matter, with your friends and family. And we're doing this online.
Have any questions about the beer tours or want us to tailor make an event for you? Just shoot us an email or send us a message on any form of social media. Rolling Hops, you can find us everywhere.
RollingHopsBeerTours.com is where you can get a hold of us, and we'll see you guys soon.
Cheers.
All right, welcome everyone to another episode of the Beer Bound Podcast. We're excited to be joined by a few members from Gold Brewery. We have Brent, Gauthier, and Robyn Brocklehurst. Brent was the original brewer and still oversees production, and Robyn does operations for the front of house. Gold Brewery can be found in the town of Petrolia, Ontario. The name of the brewery relates to the town's history of being once touted Canada's Victorian Oil Town. A lot of their signature brews relate to the town's history as well, including What the Frack, Brown Ale, Hard Oiler, American Strong Ale, Pantless in Petrolia, Imperial IPA, Oiler's Daughter, which is an amber wheat, and Liquid Gold, which is a cream ale. So we're excited to learn more about this exciting Ontario brewery and what it has in store. So we welcome Brent and Robyn to the Beer Bound Podcast. How are you both?
Good.
I'm doing pretty good.
Thank you
Welcome.
very
Thanks
much.
for joining us, guys.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Maybe we could start us. You guys can help us out with a little bit of information about both of you. Maybe Brent, you could start us off with yourself, kind of your relation to beer and why you're now associated with a cool Ontario brewery.
Well, very long story short, I've been brewing for like a home brewer for, I don't know, 10, 15 years, something like that now. Got half decent at it a few years ago. A few of my friends are like, hey, you should open up a brewery. I was like, that's the stupidest idea I've ever heard. But the idea kind of stuck around in my head. I couldn't shake it. Took it a bit more seriously, started upping my game a bit, doing a lot more research into everything. Got it to a level where I was able to go out and have other people sample it, and they couldn't tell whether it was, homebrew versus an actual craft brewery or even professional brewery. So I said, all right, we got something here. If I can do this in my basement, let's see what we can do on a larger scale. From there, ended up meeting three other partners. The first one was Carolyn Laton. She's currently not on the call. She wasn't able to join us today. So she introduced me to Robyn, who I'll turn it over to Robyn here.
I was the third partner to come in, and then Tara works with me at Nova Chemicals. So she was in one of our conversations, and I said, well, we're looking for a fourth. So she was our full complement then. So there's the four of us in as a partnership, with all of our spouses also having to help out.
Yeah, fantastic. It seems like quite a family enterprise, quite a few families.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that it definitely is.
Yeah, that's so cool. Can you give us some, maybe I missed that, just some like dates, like when the brewery was established, sort of some time leading up to it, maybe a little bit more on how the business relationships were established?
So on that side of it, it was like, I'm gonna have to have Robyn jump in here and give me the dates, but I'm gonna say 2018 we made an announcement.
October 2018 we got together.
Yeah.
And you guys bought the building.
Yep. So we bought the building that we're currently in. From there, we basically spent every free day, evening, weekend at the brewery gutting it out. It had been, I'll say, vacant for several years beforehand, but accumulating stuff. So the word vacant might not be the best word. Yeah, so we basically spent 2 years gutting the place. If it wasn't holding the roof up, it came out. We filled multiple dumpster loads worth of, just old drywall and stuff out of the building. All new electrical, all new plumbing, all new HVAC, absolutely everything from the ground up. In our renovations, we tried to keep everything as, I'll say, older looking as possible while bringing it all, up to this century's code, anyways. But yeah, just literally every moment that we could have for 2 years, we spent gutting the place and rebuilding it. And then in 2000,
we kept a lot of the stuff. Like we've got our light fixtures, and the ceiling in the main tap room has been left open. You can see we had to remove the beams, the steel, and replace them with steel beams. So we kept one of those beams, and we have it now across the front of our bar, and we hang lights from it. So we kept a lot of the items that we could, refurbish them kind of back in place. The building's over 100 years old, so there was a lot of really cool things in it, and we managed to keep a lot of it. And that's what a lot of people say when they come in, is how warm and welcoming it is. And we're really keeping to the Petrolia, the oil heritage theme. But we did a lot of the work ourselves, most of the work ourselves. We had to build a washroom, like for Universal and that, to pass code. But that's the only additional, that's the only new part of the building that we did. Our production area is what, about 2,500 square feet, Brent?
Something like that, yeah. I think it was around 26, something like that, yeah.
We had to pour a cement floor throughout that, and it was funny because the cement that was there already, I'm sure it's probably 2 feet thick, right? It's when cement was free, but we still had to put like a 6-inch pad across that to level everything off. We had to do a lot, like Brent says, right from the bones. But I think we're pretty proud of the way it ended up turning out. We've still got areas to do, because the building itself consists of the production area, the tap room. We have a retail area. We have what we call the back alley, which is a private room. And then in between those two rooms is a supply area. We have an office upstairs. And then we also have a 2-bedroom apartment that we haven't even looked at yet. So the building is quite big. And then we have this nice, cool little barn on the, right beside the parking lot. So lots of ideas for what we're going to do with that. But right now it's just storage.
Yeah, that sounds like a heck of a lot of work, but you've sort of kept the charm of it. I saw a few pictures online, so it looks really nice.
It was a ton of work, and all of us work full-time jobs. So we're trying to do all this. Like Brent says, it basically, we left one job and we were there till who knows what time of the night, and then back, and just did that for, well, gosh, we didn't open until November 12th, 2020. So it was a good 2 years basically in the making. And then we opened and closed 6 weeks later for lockdown, for the first lockdown. I was going to say,
one heck of a time to open up. I saw on your website, you guys know, I mentioned your 1-year anniversary, and it's definitely, obviously it's unfortunate timing for everything, but you guys have persevered so far. So which is, it's great. All your hard work seems like so far it's showing off, and that's what we're excited to talk to you guys about today.
Yeah, it's that lockdown after opening, I said it kind of tampered our spirits a little bit, only because we spent all this time and effort getting open. We were open for 6 weeks, had everybody in, I'm pretty sure everybody in the town stepped foot in our building. Awesome. I still remember the guy, the very first guy who walked in the door. He walked in, threw his arms up in the air, said, "Yes, I'm the first." And then it was just, people were so excited to finally see it open. And like I said, 6 weeks later, we got shut down for what was supposed to be a 2-week shutdown, and ended up being 6 months. So kind of hampered things a little bit.
The only good thing about it was people had a chance to try our beer. come in and see the merch. Like there was a lot of benefits to at least us being the 6 weeks, because Brent makes amazing beer. And that's been our course since we started. Like people, you might not like everyone that you have, but you won't not like it. Like it might not be your favorite, but it's not going to be one that you wouldn't have again. So we've been really lucky, and the support in Petrolia has been amazing, and actually all around. Like we have a lot of people from Sarnia and that too, but we've been lucky, really.
That's good. And well, also congratulations to you guys for your the two beers that won at the Ontario Brewing Awards. I saw that. So congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
That's really cool for the first year in business. That was really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Definitely makes me want to go out and try What the Frack for sure. So
well, What the Frack beer, What the Frack, we had a lot of success from that right from day one. And there would be a lot of people that would walk in and say, I only drink this blue can beer that's in a light version. And I won't drink anything else. So here, try this one. No, that's dark. I won't try it. No, try the beer. No, that's dark. I won't try it. Just try the damn beer. So they try the beer and they're like, oh, that's pretty good. I'll have one of those. So we get guys that walk in that only drink, water beer, and they'll have a What the Frack, which again is a brown ale, so it's about as far as you can get from it, and they seem to like it right from day one. So
that's good. Got something great on your hands. It sounds like winning awards, and you're turning over non-experimental beer drinkers, I suppose you might be able to call it. But that's great.
Yeah, can you?
Yeah, no, we're quite happy with that.
Go ahead, Brent. Sorry. Yeah,
No,
maybe could we go back just a little bit and talk about? I'm just interested in the building. I think Robyn, you mentioned it's over 100 years old. Do you know what the building was initially used for?
It was originally owned by Edwin Fletcher, and it was a grain and livery. Is that what it's called, Brent?
Yeah, the livery stables for horses.
Yeah, we actually have a picture of it hanging on the wall. I don't know how long it was that for, because after that, the main thing that it was I think it was the 70s or something, it was McFarlane Chev Oldsmobile. And they were there for a long, long time as well. And we also have that picture and the blessing of their family. Their family, actually, the granddaughter works for us. And it's been a unique historical education for sure. I don't know. I think around 1890s was that picture, wasn't it, Brent? The horse picture?
Yeah, something like that. And one of the biggest issues that we've had is, I'll say several years ago, but it's more like 20 or 30 years ago, the town hall burnt down and lost all of the records. So we can't even go back and find out all the dates and everything because they don't anymore. So we've been working with the Historic Society quite a bit just to try and find pictures and dates and timelines and try to piece everything back together. But again, there's 140 years, and we've only accounted for like 50% of the time.
Oh yeah. And it's the things that we found while we were tearing the place apart and everything too, where people thought this place should be basically tore down. We've had so many people come in and just say, wow, we are so glad that you guys did what you did to this. We figured, because it had been basically abandoned for quite a few years. And we've really, with just a lot of we've spent a lot of money on it, but we haven't. Like we've done a lot of the work ourselves. So it hasn't been crazy having people come in and do the work for us. But people have really been so proud of how we've ended up keeping the theme, because we're in the historic district of Petrolia as well. So you're not limited on what you can do, because we're not historic, like our building isn't what's that, historical or whatever.
It's not classified yet, thank God.
No, but you're still you want to keep with what the town looks like, right? So, but it's been really easy to do that because it's just so much fun, And like Brent says, we've been working with the local historian, and he's been giving us pictures. And well, that's what most of our labels are on our beer cans, are pictures from the past, and the names of the beers are all have to do with oil heritage and stuff like that. So he's given us the rights to use all that stuff. Our Motorman is a picture, like a Motorman is one of our beers. It's got the picture from McFarlane. It's the old granddad on a car in front of the building. Like, just some fun stuff.
The Pantless and Petrolia beer is a guy who one day decided he was going to walk into one of the local bars that's now shut down completely naked, and went and ordered a beer and got a few photos taken of him. So if you look close enough, you will see an appropriately placed logo. But other than that, he's not wearing a thing.
And we got a release for it too.
Did that happen recently?
It would be what, like 20 years, 30 years ago?
Something maybe? Like that. I don't know about 20 years, but yeah, at least 10 anyways. How's that?
Yeah.
The gentleman's still alive.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
He loves it. He loves it.
That's great. That's really fun.
Now, right?
Yeah. Well, he's got a beer named after it. Yeah. That's really cool. I know Garrett and I really enjoy the history associated with beer in general, but also just sort of this revitalization of these beautiful old pieces of infrastructure that, you're right. I think you mentioned, Robyn, that people have sort of left abandoned, and they've been sort of tossed aside and basically saved and rejuvenated and revitalized in, like you mentioned, a pretty pivotal historical area of the town. So maybe veering with this, can you tell us a little bit about your town, about Petrolia, about its history and what it's sort of obviously known for, and then what it's like now?
Go ahead, Brent. I'm the only owner that doesn't actually live in Petrolia.
No, she lives just inside of everywhere. So I moved to Petrolia, oh God, I'm going to say 2008. So what's that, 12, 13, 14 years ago now? Man, where's time go? So yeah, I moved here back then. Originally, it was basically, the old Victorian Oil Town. It was where oil was discovered. You have your scene where you got two guys walking along and they shoot the ground by accident and oil starts pouring out. So it's kind of one of those things. It was at the time the biggest town in the area, just because it was the only thing going on. Sarnia, the town next to us, basically that was the port where all of the oil ended up going. But unfortunately, after, I'm going to say 50 to 100 years, and I apologize, well, this is the historians right now, they're yelling at me. But after a while, they, basically oil production started to cease, and the town dwindled. A lot of the communities around here ended up suffering quite badly for it. Just because there was nothing else really going on. I don't know if you guys watch the show Still Standing, but they did one on the town, like probably 15 minutes, 20 minutes just south of here. It was where they have the Oil Museum of Canada, and that's pretty much what the whole area is known for. Anyway, so Petrolia at the time was the biggest of the towns in the area, so it survived on just local commerce. And then fortunately, it survived long enough that once the area started being a lot more developed, we're currently at, I want to say like 5,222 people, so we're still a small town. We're not anywhere near the size of some of the larger towns in our area, but everything is starting to come back. With the exception of COVID, but no, everything was starting to come back in town with, just commerce and everything going on. And a lot of people at the time when we started up this idea were saying, we need a craft brewery. There has to be something here to do. We were down to, I think it was one bar for the longest time, and everybody was hurting for something else to do. So we opened up, and we've had a lot of compliments and all kinds of people that are just happy to have an alternative.
I think it's a lot like, you know, where the kids move away for a while, and then everyone's starting to move back, because there's a lot of new builds in Petrolia. There's the areas growing quite a bit. Of course, with all the plants, in Sarnia and the Nova and all the other plants, there's a draw here. And Petrolia is a really nice little town that's close enough to London, close enough to Sarnia, close enough to the States that if you want a nice little town to bring your family up in, it's a great town, but you can still have everything else close enough by. So I love the town. If I didn't live, I live on the outskirts of Sarnia. If I didn't live where I do, I would definitely live there. And the townsfolk and the people in, like the mayor and everybody, so everyone's so supportive and helpful, and it's just a nice little town. You don't see these things very much anymore. Usually people are too busy in their own little worlds to do, you know, anything for each other, but it's not there. It's like moving back in time. And our place seems to be, I feel like it's like the Cheers. Everybody comes in, they've got their own tables that they go to. They're, you know, like, you know, all your regulars. The girls our servers are amazing. They're great for people who aren't from around here. They're Petrolia girls, so they know the area and can, you know, tell tourists where to go and what things to see. And Petrolia also has the most pizza places in any town I've ever seen. I think they have 8 or 10.
I don't know. It seems to change every other week, but yeah, definitely a lot of pizza.
Goes well with
yeah.
beer.
Yeah, you got
does.
our attention now.
Yeah, we should also say that we don't have a restaurant. We have some, you know, minor snacks and whatever, but we allow outside food. So all of, you know, anybody who shows up here, half the time, you know, the vehicles in the parking lot are all the delivery vehicles just dropping off food. So like I said, we more than welcome that, and we're trying to work with a lot of the businesses instead of, you know, against each other. So we want to try and promote that. And for New Year's, we were planning a big thing where we went to a lot of the businesses in town and basically said, look, here's our plan. It's been a really shitty year. We want to send it off and, you know, basically try to boost everyone's spirits and morale and everything, and just basically have all kinds of door prizes and, you know, promote and work with everybody. Almost every business that I talked to, you know, was more than willing to pitch something in. And then just as we were getting ready to do all our, you know, announcements and everything, guess what? They said that, oh, there's going to be lockdowns, there's going to be this, there's going to be that. So I don't want to say we scaled back, but we didn't promote it as hard as we probably wanted to.
Yeah, we capped it there. I think we had around 65 people. We're allowed, with 50%, we're allowed around 78 people. So we just capped it where we had already sold the tickets. And it was small, but it was fun. You know, what can you do? You gotta
roll with the punches, right?
Roll with the punches, yeah. Well, when you're only allowed to serve beer until 10, our plan was to take the clocks in the brewery and put them back 2 hours so that 10 o'clock was actually midnight.
We ended up getting my husband ended up finding a countdown with a whole bunch of fireworks from different places afterwards. So we got the champagne, and at 10 o'clock we did the ball drop, and we did, nice. You know, you got to do what you got to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, making the best of, you know, a bad situation. I feel like that's been the story of, you know, everyone's lives over the last, almost 2 years now. And it's nice to see how different establishments take that and how they run with it and incorporate it in their, you know, their operations and still make it a good time, right? New Year's, obviously everyone wants to go and have a great time and do something. And it sounds like the community in Petrolia is, you know, all for it, which is great. So it's nice to hear that you got to do something like that.
like Brent says, with the food and stuff too, we try to keep a lot of stuff local. We do a charcuterie board in the brewery, but we use Stafford Meats, which is a meat place in Petrolia. Guild Chocolate, which is in Petrolia, does a bark using one of our beers. We have the Wyoming cheese store, which is a goat cheese, and we use that on it. Like, we try to pull in as much local, use as many local folks as we can. And they do the same with us. Like, a lot of like the Cottage has used our beers in their promotions. There's been a lot of cross promotions here. And we just recently, we haven't even done it yet. Well, we did it one time. We're trying to do what's called Taco Tuesday. So we're bringing a Mexican place from Point Edward, Los Puntos Cantina. I don't know.
Oh, I saw that on your website.
Yeah,
For your events,
we were going to start every Tuesday night. They were going to come out and we were going to have Taco Tuesday. And we tried it the Thursday before Christmas, and it was awesome. It went over really, really well. And then now lockdown. So we're kind of like, okay, I don't know if we'll do a takeout one or so many of the restaurants are closing. So I don't know what we'll end up doing.
Not just restaurants. We had also partnered up with Parents for Parks. Basically, it's a volunteer group that goes around Petrolia and basically tries to raise funds for building new parks in Petrolia or renovating them or whatever they want to do with the money. And so we got everything lined up for this month. Yeah, they're all excited. We're all excited. And then Uncle Doug there comes on TV and says, nope, shut down. So sorry, guys. We'll work on it next month, maybe, possibly.
Yeah, everything
Hopefully.
has a question mark after it now. Even like we have other events of our own and events we work with other people. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to like plan stuff, right? And makes it difficult. Do what we can, I suppose. Well, actually, I wanted to ask you about well, obviously, we are craft beer focused, so I wanted to ask you a few questions about the lineup, because first thing I do every time I go and check out a new brewery, of course, is go check out the lineup of beers. And I saw a couple interesting ones, which I wanted to sort of touch base with you and ask you about. For instance, like I think I saw an amber wheat that you guys have, which is pretty interesting, and a vanilla pale ale. So some, maybe outside the box styles. How is it? I'm assuming, Brent, you still have some oversight on, styles and things of that nature. How do you come up with some of these ideas?
Yeah, most of the beers that we have on tap right now are still my recipes. I will fully take credit for the first 6 weeks of beer. After that, brought in another guy because, like I said, we all have full-time jobs. I couldn't be here full-time and there full-time. So
of course,
the guy that we brought in, he's killing it. So way to go, Chris. Oh, someone's talking over there. But yeah, way to go, Chris. You're killing it. And we got a new guy in right now, Devin. He's basically filling in while Chris is off for a little bit. So yeah, the first 6 weeks I take full credit for. Everything after that, I'll give the credit to them. Yeah, so the amber wheat, that was actually kind of a funny one. We were, still in the experimental stage, and we had a pilot system going. We've got 150-liter pilot tanks that we run. And so I was pushing a bunch of recipes through there, just finalizing everything, making sure we're ready for production. And so I don't know, once a month or so, we have a group chat with all the owners, and I put it on there. Hey, what beer do you want me to try this month? And some of the people are like, oh, I like amber beers. Another one's like, I like wheat beers. I was like, amber wheat. So it's one of those beers that it's not quite an amber, but it's not quite a wheat. We probably can never enter it into a competition because it would never fall under a category. But it's one of those where if you like wheat beers, you'll like this one. If you like amber beers, you'll like this one. If you don't like wheat beers, you'll like the amber. If you don't like ambers, you'll like the wheat. So it's, a pretty solid beer all around. Fills a lot of the categories. And like I said, most people enjoy it. From there, we got, What the Frack. That one, again, we won the gold medal on the brown ale category. So we're quite proud about that one. I'm just trying to remember off the top of my head. Yeah, vanilla pale ale. So the Victorian Delight. A lot of people like to call that the dessert beer. We've been I don't want to say experimenting, but adjusting the levels of vanilla in it, because, the first round you come out, we get it to the flavor that we like. It's, just a standard pale ale recipe that we have some, I'll say it's a specific kind of vanilla that we put in it that isn't fermentable. It doesn't change flavors. It doesn't do a whole lot of things. So it's fairly stable in beer. And so at the first batch, we're like, yep, we're going to mix 50% of the recommended dosage and try from there. Oh man, was that ever vanilla-y. So like I said, we pushed it out. A lot of people liked it. We're like, okay, but we're gonna, pull it back again. So, and that's one of the nice things about being on, I'll say, the craft side, is you can make those minor adjustments as you go. And we're kind of honing that one back in a little bit to get a broader range of people who will actually enjoy that one. Again, I say a dessert beer because, again, it's beer that has some vanilla to it.
The chocolate porter.
Yeah, the chocolate porter. Yeah, similar thing where I'll say most of our stuff is beer flavored beer. I know you go to some places and they've got some candy lollipop flavored something or other, which great on you. I've had a bunch that I love, but it's not beer.
Some wild ingredients. Yeah.
Yeah, again, it's not even the wild ingredient side. We've got wild ingredients, a bunch of ours. It's just we focus on the beer side of things. There's a place down the road, an amazing milkshake IPA. Oh, it's delicious. It's not a beer that I can have 2 or 3 of, though. And like I said, to end the night, oh yeah, perfect. But it's not one that I'll sit down and have a bunch of. So most of ours, we focus on the beers that you can actually sit down and drink several of and enjoy yourself, and hopefully still be able to drive home.
Everyone says crushable beers.
Yeah, crushable beers.
We use that very often, actually.
Yeah.
Crushable beers.
Yeah, crushable beers. I think the one thing that led to that was that none of the owners like hoppy beers. So yes, we do have a couple IPAs, and is summertime. Yeah, it was in I think July or August. We did what we called our freshly squeezed IPA, or harvest IPA.
Oh my God, it was so good.
So good. we called up a local hop farmer and said, hey, how much hops can you get harvest us on Monday? And they're like, why Monday? So just how much hops can you harvest us? So they gave us, I think it was 50 pounds of freshly harvested hops. So they picked them on Monday, dried them on Tuesday, and they were in our beer on Wednesday. And like we filled our lauter ton with the beer. So we've got basically a 4-vessel system, and we filled the lauter ton. So all the grain came out, all the beer went into, or I guess the wort went into the boil kettle, boiled in there for a little bit, cooled it down to, I think it was 80 degrees, something like that. By the time we had all the grain emptied out of the lauter ton, we dumped all the hops in, and then put all the wort back into the lauter ton, let it circulate for a little bit, and then threw everything back again, and filtered as much of the hop particulate out as we could. And the hop flavor and aroma that came out of that thing was amazing. You're thinking like any IPA kind of stuff, but 2 to 3 times the amount of flavor, but none of the bitterness. It was it was delicious.
And is that just like a product of using the lauter ton, maybe in, like, it sounds like a sort of unconventional way?
Oh, very unconventional way. But if we were to put that amount of hops into our boil kettle, it would just clog the system up, and then we'd spend days pulling it out. So we're like, we need a giant filter. Where are we going to get a giant filter? Oh, look, there's one 2 feet away. So that's kind of what we did on that.
We can only make it with fresh hops, so we could only make that one batch, which
we can
really
make it once a year.
Right.
Yeah.
I see.
My mouth is literally watering, like thinking about those hoppy, bitter notes.
Oh yeah, it sold out pretty quickly. It was one of our most favorite beers of the summertime.
I found one can the other day. Bernie found one can, and I got it.
Don't say that. Hide it.
I already drank it.
Oh well, there you go. Yeah, like I said, we sold out of that one pretty quick. It was a huge crowd favorite. What else are we doing? Speaking of funny ingredients, Pantless and Petrolia is the pineapple jalapeno Imperial IPA. So there's a tongue twister for you.
Yeah.
That one there was pretty interesting to develop, mainly because it took, I think, 14 different variations of the recipe in order to come up with where we got today. We had some that was way too much pineapple, some that was way too much. Well, at the time, it wasn't jalapenos. We did a batch with Carolina Reapers. That was a very bad idea. Basically, you had to put it in the freezer, wait until it got to the point where it was like just about to freeze, and then drink it. Because when you chill it, you suppress all the heat. So you only get the pineapple and some of the hops. And it's 103 IBU, so it's, pretty hoppy, but we do it with more of a, we adjust the water chemistry to go towards more the malty side. So you get a lot of the, I'll say, sweetness from the malt, the sweetness from the pineapple, and then the heat from the jalapenos and the bitterness from the hops. So the sweetness from the pineapple and the heat from the jalapeno kind of balance each other out. And then the maltiness versus the bitterness, they also balance each other out. And then when you combine that with I think it's 7.5% alcohol on top of it, you have a lot of fun with that one.
Yeah,
Just don't let it get warm.
Oh yeah, and the warmer it gets, the hotter it gets.
Yes.
That's pretty interesting. And I know, like using like peppers in beer is, I've seen it a little bit more so over the last couple of years, and always sort of polarized when I ask people about whether they like it or not. It's interesting. Like I'll have one or two, but that's so cool that just the fact that when it warms up, that actually, sort of sounds like it triggers the jalapenos a little bit and gets warmer. Super cool.
Yeah, and we have, again, it's one of the beers that it's either hit or miss. You love it or you hate it. There's no one in between. So we had another guy basically come and give us a little rating, judging of our beer, and that was one that he tried, and it was the second beer that he had ever given 5 stars to.
Wow.
And I don't remember where the other beer was. I apologize to them, but it was the second beer that he had ever given 5 stars to. And the guy next to him said, "This is the grossest thing I've ever tried in my life." So it really depends on your palate and your flavor.
Beauty in the eye of the beholder, of course.
Of the beer holder, yes.
The beer holder.
It just sounds so intense in every way.
Like I said, making it was interesting because unfortunately, whether it turned out or not, you still had to drink it. So there was, like I said, 14 variations of that beer specifically, that 13 were better or worse.
You guys are going to have to come down and try us out.
I know.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, we're coming already.
We're building a very strong bucket list as soon as restrictions ease, and maybe when it gets a little warmer and we can lighter out. And
we have a great patio. Last year we had our whole parking lot basically was patio. So it was good.
I saw a few pictures, yeah.
Yeah, what's your capacity with, like, say, in the summertime when you have the patio going?
We could probably, we need more washrooms if we go higher. Our capacity is 146, but we could probably fit about 300 outside.
Oh, easily.
Wow.
With the extended patio.
And we licensed our whole property. So if we wanted to, like I said, we're only limited by washrooms because we would for everybody. But yeah, we could probably, with the tap room and outside, probably a good 300 or 400 people.
Yeah, I think our tap room's around 150 alone.
Wow, that's big. That's great.
But you know what? We don't have it set up that way because, like I said, we've started right into basically lockdowns. When we built all our tables as well. So we literally, what do we have? 16 wood tables. So we pretty much spent it was going to be a weekend, right, Brent?
Well, the tables were
So
built in the weekend.
2 months of
Finishing
stand.
on the tables took a little bit longer. Yeah.
Mm.
So in our tap room, we've got about 16 tables, and we've got a couple of community type tables and that, but we've kept it somewhat spacious. And we probably, I don't even know once we go back to normal if we'll tighten it up much, because people really seem to like to be able to have their area and move around and that. We have high top tables that we can add more in there. But I don't think any of us want to build any more tables. So unless we do something different, we're staying with what we've got. But outside we have like a full patio, wraparound patio. We have this huge glass garage door that we can open up in the summertime. And we're right on a corner, Robert and Fletcher. That's one of our beer names, is where Robert met Fletcher.
Okay.
So on our Fletcher Street side is this garage door that will open, and the patio goes all the way around the building. But then, like I said, with the lockdown, we extended all the parking in front to picnic tables. And then we had a huge tent out there as well. So if people, this was when we could only have people outside. So we were trying to make it as comfortable as we could and be able to have as many people out there as we could. So we had a lot of really good nights out there. And the summer actually was a good summer for it too.
It was, and I think was it the Stanley Cup playoffs? We went out and basically raided Best Buy, bought the biggest TVs they had there, just so that we could put the TV. Yeah, it was Euro Cup. That's right. Put the TVs inside the building, but it was big enough that everybody could see it everywhere. So if it rained or something, we didn't have to worry about it. And then there was one of the nights for I forget what playoffs or series or whatever it was, where it was just downpouring outside. And fortunately, we had a tent. I think it's a 20 by 40 foot tent.
Yeah.
And it was just packed. Everyone was having a grand time. And a bunch of the people said it was just like drinking down south, because it was so hot and so humid, but you're still outside having a blast. So
have to get
creative. Get creative and do what we can just to, basically make it, again, as fun and enjoyable for everybody who shows up as possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, both of you just sound very fun. Just the whole brewery, the whole town, like it just has a sort of small town vibe that I think Garrett and I really we appreciate. And we kind of miss being in the big city.
You should have seen us for Oktoberfest. We had our full meter hosing and everything out. Oh man.
Yeah, we had throw the kegs bowling with the kegs and and we're gonna do it again.
What else did we have? We had the beer stein challenge or whatever it was. You had to hold the beer stein out at arm's length. We had one where you had to hold the keg over your head. The last person standing wins. We quickly ended that one for obvious reasons. What else was there?
Empty kegs.
There was. Yes, empty kegs.
We had food and all kinds of stuff. It was fun.
Oh, lots of fun.
We have so many ideas on things we can do. We just need to be able to open up and let us do it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think was I reading somewhere there was like, you have like very well known pretzels? Was that, or am I looking?
Popcorn.
Oh, popcorn. That's the one it is. Yeah, I saw a few pictures of that. Yeah, looks good.
We have had pretzels at our place though too. They in the beginning they were from the Petrolia bakery. We did a Super Bowl thing with pretzels and beer cheese. She used our beer cheese.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds amazing. So can I just go back for a second? Correct me if I'm wrong, Brent or Robyn. So you open up the actual brewery, the brick and mortar, last November, correct? Is that right?
Yes.
And prior to that, that's right. And prior to that, were you doing contract brewing or brewing anywhere else, or nothing was ever sold prior to you opening the brick and mortar?
No,
that is correct.
Nope. And
so
we
did it all.
Yeah, our equipment came in. The ship left China. and COVID followed it, and we managed to get our equipment in. We really lucked out there. Actually, we're going to be doubling the production area. We're ordering more equipment for back there because we can't keep up with the amount of beer that's being requested.
Wow, that's great.
That's so good to
basically
hear.
our bottleneck right now is how much we can package in a day. So we're getting a couple of double tall bright tanks. So it's basically 2 bright tanks directly on top of each other in the smallest footprint in the space available that we have. And because we can't expand out sideways, so we said, wow, we're going to take 15-barrel bright tank and put 2 of them on top of each other.
Stack it.
Yep, stack it too high and getting 2 of those in. So essentially when we go and do our canning or kegging or whatever it is that we're doing that day, we can basically stock more and do it all in one day, as opposed to calling in the canning line every week, second week, whatever it is, just to clear out tanks.
We're starting to get a lot more restaurants interested in carrying our product. So it's kind of like, do you can it or do you keg it? And this is the production issues that my husband's dealing with right now, is how much do we need? When do we need it? And what size kegs do we need? And that kind of thing. So none of us did business this. Like, I mean, my husband used to own an internet company, but that's a totally different company from anything like this. So we're all kind of pretty new to this stuff and had to learn quick a lot of this stuff. What if you'd have talked to me a year ago, I'd have been like a deer in the headlights for any of this stuff. I said, I'll never learn all this stuff. I'll never learn. I'm okay with doing the the front, the organizing, the management of people and HR and that kind of stuff. But when it came to beer, it was like, oh my God, they're going to ask me a question about beer and I'm not going to be able to, it's surprising how quick you learn all this stuff. But it's been great. These guys, our partnership is, it's a great team. We have a lot of fun together. We all bring our own little niches to what we do. And we work really well together. So we've been really lucky, really lucky.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that. It sounds like you guys are working your tails off as well. So it's
but you
pretty,
enjoy it, right?
Yeah, of course.
When it's something like this, and I'm proud as hell of it. Like, I just love going out there. So, I mean, if you like what you're doing, it's a lot of work. And there's times we've been frustrated with each other or with the brewery or whatever, but it's been so worth it.
So nice to hear. Well, is it fair to say that most of your customers and clientele come from Petrolia? Or you did mention sort of at the beginning of the episode that you do attract some folks from neighboring cities like Sarnia or London. Do people kind of go ahead.
Yeah, Sarnia is only 15 minutes away, 20 minutes away.
Yeah.
So it's not that far. We do have a lot of visitors. See, Petrolia has a Victoria Playhouse in the town, which is a live theater. Granted, it hasn't been open since we've been open, but I would imagine once it gets open again, we're going to see a lot of outside tourists because busloads of people come in for the theater. It's kind of like I say Petrolia reminds me of a mini Stratford. It's got the beauty, it's got the little water with the ducks, it's got the big Victoria Playhouse. Like, it's like a mini Stratford. And once that all opens up again, we're going to see a lot of people from out of town. We do see a lot of people from like Toronto, Ottawa, and they always stop in whenever they're coming by this area. They'll always stop in and pick up beer. We're trying to figure out shipping to people. We haven't got that, like, we've looked into it, but we haven't got it all set up yet. So hopefully once we do that, people can, start. If they've been here, they can have it shipped to their home.
And even that, there's one guy who stopped in one day. We were talking with him. Oh, so what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm just passing through. Like, oh, where'd you leave? Toronto. Okay, where are you going? Windsor. We're like, that's like a 2-hour addition onto a 4-hour drive. He's like, no, it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had someone from Whitehorse. Is it Whitehorse? in the Yukon
Oh, wow.
the other day. Yeah, it's like, yeah. Sons of Kent, I don't know if you know that in Chatham, they've often told people to come to our place and try our IPAs and that. Like, so it's really good. And I find the craft brewery industry, we're all friends. We're not, no one's competition for anybody else. We all want to help each other. Without each other, we're really nothing. Like one brewery in the middle of nowhere is really nothing, right? So we all work together really well.
For sure. We see that time and time again. The craft beer industry, just like one very big family.
Happy
Yeah, exactly. And everyone recommends each other and helps each other out. And I think Andy and I, it's one thing we really enjoy. Like obviously we run a business that's associated with craft beer, and the fact that we could be a part of that, we definitely don't take that for granted. And it's nice to see that time and time again, no matter who we're talking to, all over the province or the country. It's tried and true. And I think that's fantastic.
Yeah,
That's what we
I don't know how many times we've been in a jam. Oh my God, we just ran out of this hose or whatever it is. We call up the next closest brewery. Hey, it's us. Can we borrow this? Like, yeah, no problem. Come on over. So we run over there, grab it, and come back. And then when our shipment shows up, we send them the box or whatever it was that we borrowed. So yeah, the just working with all of the other places in town is phenomenal.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's so nice. I guess, I mean, you're also located pretty close. I mean, it's not so productive during the last couple of years, but you are, like you mentioned, like Sarnia is a border town. So probably pretty nice location in terms of once borders can reopen, you're kind of situated in a nice place to attract some Michigan tourists.
Exactly. And like I said, Petrolia is that type of town that you would visit for a weekend. They've got lots of Airbnbs and the theater. They've got a great golf course. There's a couple nice little restaurants, and there's lots to do. It's a pretty area. And then of course you're close to everything else. So if you didn't want, Sarnia's right 10 minutes away. So yeah, we're hoping. We haven't had that luxury yet because it was short-lived when it was open.
Yeah, when you live in a tourist town in the middle of a pandemic, emphasis isn't exactly on the tourists. But yeah, once we get going, whenever again Uncle Doug decides to let us go again, then like I said, it'll just be nice to be able to have people back in the tap room. And again, half the fun is just talking to people. You get people from all over the place that are coming in, and you talk to them and you find out, what they know about beer. And they're like, oh yeah, I used to work for this place. And, you talk to them, you give a tour of the production side of things, and it's great. They talk about you for months afterwards. Because again, I don't want to say all, but a lot of the places, especially the larger places, unless there's a dedicated paid tour, you're not getting back there. And again, for us, as long as one of us is available, free, and capable of doing it, again, we don't see the reason not to. Obviously, if there's stuff going on back there that we can't have you back there, we'll say no, sorry. We're canning, we're brewing, we're whatever it is. But the majority of the time, again, it's our motto: we want to work with people and not against people.
That's a great motto.
Yeah.
Well, so obviously the brewery itself is pretty young, just turning 1 year of age, which is really exciting. I know we're still in a very frustrating, annoying, exhausting, terrible time, but once hopefully we get through this pretty soon, do you see the focus of Black Gold being towards growing what you already have in terms of your equipment? Do you see really striving to have more interesting events to attract individuals? Do you have a focus on, I know you're really young, so this is a weird question in terms of the business is very young, but in terms of really kind of doubling down on any portion of the business, is there something that you two are particularly keen on?
So that's a very interesting question, only because the bigger you are, the less freedoms you have. The tiny hole-in-the-wall craft breweries can do what they want, when they want. They don't have to report to anybody. They don't have to do anything. If we go too big too fast, and like up till now, we've stayed out of the LCBO or the beer store, only because once we get into it, then basically we're going to have to drop 2 or 3 of our beers out of our production line just to meet those demands, which normally you'd say, hey, that's a good thing. But then it's not fun anymore. We're not, going out and creating all the different beers and the different recipes and the different whatever. We're, this company, whatever it is telling us we want 19 skids of your beer by next Friday. Well, crap. All right, let's go make 19 skids of our beer for next Friday. So again, the bigger we get, the more we expand. It's, you're no longer the craft brewery side of things. You're more on the, what's the one just above craft? The Pico? So no, what's the other way? Anyways, whatever it is, the microbrewery kind of thing. Like I was actually just out west a couple of weeks ago, and we went to a facility. Phenomenal view. It's in the mountains. Oh my God, it's one of the best looking places ever. You sit down to try a beer. They only make 4 beers because that's all they have time to produce. But yet you go and look over at their production area, and they've got, I think it was like multiple 105 hectoliter tanks, and they can only make 4 beers.
A lot of demand.
Yeah, so a huge amount of demand. Again, very, very good beer. I'm not saying anything against the beer. It's at what point you stop being craft and start going to the mainstream side of things, where you lose all your freedoms and ability to do what you want when you want.
And I think, like I said earlier in the show, we have a ton of event ideas, and we want to perfect what we have now. We have a lot of learning and a lot of growing to do just within what we have there. And like Brent says, my main thing is, and I think I can speak on the other ones, we want to have fun. We want to enjoy what we're doing. Like, we're not doing this for the money. We're not doing this for, I mean, money helps, but we're not doing, like, we all work full-time jobs. Like, if this is fun. And once you take that out of it, it's not fun anymore. It's a business. And I don't think any of us want to get there. At least not right now. You can, what is it? Never say never, because you never know. But in the near future, I think what we'll do is we're going to expand our production area. And we'll probably just perfect what we've already started. Get open to a regular, never been open at a regular, normal thing. So come talk to us in 2 or 3 years, and maybe we'll have a different perspective on it. But right now, I think we're just about right the way we are.
That's great.
That is great. Never say never. A wonderful quote from a young Stratford celebrity. I think that's a great place to stop. We really appreciate you taking the time, Brent. Robyn from Black Gold Brewery in Petrolia, Ontario. Garrett and I, that brewery is definitely on our list. We hope to make it sometime in 2022.
Make sure to let us know when you come, because we would like to be there.
Absolutely.
For sure. Oh, absolutely.
We'll definitely let you know. And maybe sometime in the spring, hopefully. Fingers crossed. If not,
fingers crossed.
Thanks so much for having us on your show.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all our interviews and beer-related content. Remember, craft beer is here.